What's up guys, we're gonna brobeatz, and today I'm gonna be showing you guys how to make your melody sound finished with rhythm. So first we're gonna go ahead and hop into the rhythm. Okay, so I'm gonna make everything simple and dumbed down because every time I try to explain things, people complain about this and that. So I'm gonna give people what they want and I'm gonna just explain it real simple. Okay, I'm not going into details. So we're gonna grab in a scale. I'm just defaulting to the D sharp minor because it's the easiest one. Okay, so we're gonna go in here, we're gonna use this pluck sound. I'm not gonna go over the sound right now, but first I want to explain rhythm so you know how to do this yourself, because what's going to happen is if you watch me make the melody, you're not going to be able to make it on your own unless you're experienced. So I want to get you to be able to make it on your own. So I'm going to explain on the grid, off the grid. On the grid is this, completely robotic, and that goes all the way across. Off the grid is everything in between. So if you do this and pull it down, that is to make this green. Off the grid. Now if you combine those, you get a rhythm. Now it could be any rhythm, but when you combine these together, you get a rhythm. Okay, so I'm gonna just give you the rhythm that works 100%, and this is the rhythm here. So if you stretch this across, change the color and pull this here, this is the overhauling rhythm that you want to use, and this works for everything. Every melody you want to make, it doesn't matter, this works. So what does this actually mean? This means where you want to come back on the grid. So say you have a melody, and yes, you can in between go on the grid, but we're talking about that initial note. So say we're on the grid, off the grid, maybe you got a few ons here, whatever, but for simplicity we're going to do this. Where you want to come back on the grid is right here, and that is pretty much what you want to do. And of course you'll have chords and stuff like that and notes that lead into these, but this is what it looks like under the hood. So let's go ahead and make our melody. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with a melody. So this is the pluck we're using. This is Juno from SYNTH. Any sounds that I'm using you can find in the description or comment section down below. So remember this, we have this. I'm gonna just keep these notes so we know the rhythms. Okay, just like so. So what we're gonna do is just start on the root, D sharp, make our chord upward. I'm gonna delete that. Now what I like to do for the bass line is I like to reset to the root, make a chord upward, so just a dyad, and then reset, make a chord backward. Okay, and then from here you can have your bass line. So I'm gonna pull this down an octave. Okay, and then we're just gonna spread this out. So I'm gonna spread this over here because usually you want a 2-bar loop for your melodies, usually, and just move this over. So now we have a bass line, and then we can pull this down. I'm gonna try to keep this in frame. I'm gonna pull this one up, and then, yeah, and now we have like a super full chord. So remember, on the grid, off the grid, probably use this first 3 here. So we can go off the grid right here, and then we can use this note for something. And then over here, we could do something like this. And you see, I'm still following the rules, right? And if you wanted to do something different, it still works. It does not matter where you place it. There we go. So now I want to make something up top over here because this just sounds a little empty. So what I'm gonna do is take this and make a chord upward like so. Now if you really want to cheat, you can take this and pull this up an octave, and now you have a range for your melody. So right, if you really want to cheat. So I'm gonna actually keep that like that. All right, so from here, I'm gonna just kind of finish this off right here, and we're just gonna kind of use the same notes we've been using because it's easy. Let me see. I'll make a chord upward from here. Drag this over. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull this down. We're gonna make a chord from here, You can see I'm using the same exact technique. I'm just moving stuff over. So like right here on the grid, right? And then we just go off the grid. And then from here, you can make a chord upward and just trickle it down. Boom. And then just move some of these over. And I'm gonna play it one more time with every note in the scene. All right, and that is the melody. So all we need to do now is add some variations. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and add a variation. So the easiest way you can do this is just you can kind of press Control and Shift at the same time. You can just take a few notes from each. And I'm gonna just make this real simple, and we're just gonna do this. Boom. All right, that's simple. So now we're gonna go ahead and layer. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start our lead, but we're gonna layer first. So we're gonna copy this, paste it here, and this is the sound that we're using, memoriam. Okay. And then this is the lead. All right. So same thing applies when it comes to the rhythm, except we're just gonna take our, D sharp minor, so our root chord, and we're just gonna kind of mess around with this a bit. So we're gonna find a nice spot for it. And that's a nice spot right there. And then we can go off the grid. So same thing kind of applies. I'm gonna zoom in since it's less now. And we're still kind of using that off and on the grid, if you notice. Okay, I like that. So I'm gonna kind of keep this same thing going a bit, put it in the same spot, and I'm gonna just move some of these notes down, and then you can kind of I like that. So what we're gonna do now is add in our bass, and then we'll add some effects on top. All right, so this is the synth bass that we're using. Okay, so I'm gonna go in here and we're just gonna copy. This is real simple. Paste it, Control L, and then probably pull it up a little bit. And then I'm gonna cut this probably like right here, pull it down just so it's like a little different. Hold Shift in between and you can move these across. And we copied it over. All right, so that's the bass. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the effects. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the effects. So all I really added was on that key, I added a supermassive. So just like delay, reverb, and this is a custom preset, and you can copy it if you want to. Okay, there you go. So this is what it sounds like on, and then on top, I have an EQ, and you can see the EQ is very sharp, nice cutoff, and I'll play it by itself. Just to put it in the background so it meshes well with the pluck. And then for the lead, I just have a portal preset, moon crest, in Bermuda, I think. Or is it in Bermuda? No, it's in here, in Mako, moon crest, that's the one. And this is what it sounds like off. It just kind of adds those high pitches. And I guess I could turn it up a little bit more. and I just turned it down. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So now we're gonna go ahead and add our drums and stuff. Now we're just gonna finish the beats, so we're gonna add all the rest of our drums. So first I'm gonna add our kick so it matches with our little bass here. And then we could take this, pull it here, shift it. And maybe we can play around a little bit with some of these. This to punch through a little bit more. So now we're gonna just throw in some of these hi-hats. I might speed up through this a little bit because it's not really that important. All right, I think that's good enough. I'm not for sure if I want to keep this, but I think this is good enough. So let's play everything all together. I'll play with just the basses and stuff like that. So we'll play with this one first. Alright, and that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, share if you're new. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.